Come, all you moonshiners, if you want to hear.
Welcome back. I'm George. God, love being here and love having you. All you distillers, brewers, oh God, bakelite oven operator. We share so much information that we just sometimes don't know what to do with all of it. But it's so good. Subscribe and comment below because those comments turn into new videos and also make us smarter as well as our entire community. So, hey, by the way, thanks to Jesse out there at Stillet, who also has a YouTube channel. He and I collaborate. We've talked many times, and we're looking for an opportunity to get together and do a joint video. So keep tuned in. All right, hey, I've got something to share with you today that is just, it's absolutely crazy. Let's talk about Thumpers. All right. We need to talk about Thumpers real quick. Let's just get this out in the air so that everybody understands the purpose of a thumper, what a thumper can do for you. And one of those things I offered a caution, got a lot of comments back, and that was, remember I said that thumpers are a closed system or a partially closed system, whereas a regular still is an open system, and nothing can happen to that. I mean, because you need fire pressure, fire pressure and an accelerant in order to have an explosion. Well, with an open system, you don't have the pressure. And by the same token, you can't have an implosion because it's an open system. I did say and caution folks that if you're using a thumper, you've got to disconnect the thumper from your kettle when you turn it off, or it will implode. And I had people just argue with me about that. Matter of fact, check this out. What do you think? That still was 1 day old, assembled, and started up. He was just using water in it. He's just trying to get the feel for it. And had it running to temp and everything was fine. Decided okay, I got it. Turned it off, walked out of the room to go make a sandwich, and during the time it took him to make a sandwich, when he came back, this is what he found. Yeah, a big crushed beer can. Now, how did that happen or why? Simple. In this particular case, I believe it was a 20-gallon copper still, brand new. Gosh, I hope he gets to beat that back out. It's never going to look the same, but it should still work. You've got this kettle and you got it full of something, okay, and you've got an exit port for it that goes over to another vessel, okay, and it's got something in it, plain and simple, and this pipe goes all the way down to the bottom, and then you've got one that comes off here and goes into your worm, and that's a symbol for a worm. Now, here's what we have, folks. First of all, we've got a case where we've got pressure, we've got a volatile substance, and we've got heat. All right, some way of that matter of fact. So we've got all three of what we need for a combustion to take place. Oh, what else can you see here? Yes, this is a closed system by definition. You see this liquid in here has got this port closed off, so it's closed off to the atmosphere. Now, the atmosphere is 14.7 pounds per square inch. I'll share with you why that's important. First of all, you've got enough fluid in here to lock this closed. I've had people say, oh no, when it cools off, it'll just suck it right back in. Okay. Tell that guy with the 20-gallon still. That doesn't happen. Now, will it happen if you have just a little? Yeah, it'll happen if you got just a little bit in there. Of course, it's going to suck some up before it. When you've got a large amount in that, I would just say anything. Whenever you are done and you shut that still down, make sure you open here so that you vent this system to the atmosphere. If not, you will have this. Now, let me show you why the atmospheric pressure is so important. Now, you know, when it's sitting here as an open system and you do not have a thumper, this just goes right off into a coil or condenser or whatever you're using to cool it down. When you have that, you've got an open system. So that means the pressure on the outside and the pressure on the inside are equal. They're equivalent. Now, when you close the system and it's hot, temperature and pressure are proportionate. When temperature goes up, pressure goes up. When temperature comes down, pressure goes down. Doesn't take a whole lot either. Just a few degrees makes a big difference. I just did it. I just took a calculator out and calculated it real quick. I was like, this has got to be crazy. Watch this. If we measured, how do you get square inches? Length times width. Okay. So I've got like a 48-inch still that's 36 inches around. 36 times 48, and then multiply that by, because that's square inches, and there's 14.7 pounds of pressure per square inch. So you multiply that by 14.7, and you come out with close to, in a complete vacuum, you'd come out to like, I don't know, and I didn't even do the bottom and the top, which would be the perfect way to do it. I just wanted the data point. It's about 25,000 pounds of pressure crushing that thing. Quite a bit. Now, of course, he wasn't at a complete vacuum, but understand it, when you start to break this down, if you laid that still on the side and stepped on it, how many pounds do you think? It's only going to take 10 or 15 pounds to crush that. So when you drop in temperature from 100, at this point maybe 180 degrees, and you're gone for a couple of minutes and it's dropped to 170 degrees, remember, temperature went down, and guess what happened? The pressure started to go down. So you created a partial vacuum, and that partial vacuum could have been equivalent to as much as 3,000 pounds per square inch, and there ain't many stills that's going to withstand that. Okay, now the purpose behind the thumper, let's say the history. Originally, the thumper was designed for a purpose. Back in the woods in the 20s and 30s, and way back there, the stills were run routinely, regularly, everywhere, in all shapes and sizes and forms in different places. Now, one of the challenges that was experienced when let's say you got this great big still here, and it doesn't matter what size it is. You got this top and you got it's coming off. We had to heat this thing. And how did they normally do that? Well, there wasn't readily available propane tanks or electricity out in the middle of the woods. What they used was wood. So, when you're using wood down here to fire this, or around the sides, and there was many different ways to do this, the application of heat was something that was really, really difficult to control, because, okay, you got to bring it up 10 degrees. How many pieces of wood do you think that took? Nobody knows. Some wood burns better, some burns not so much. Some will start on one. You get my point. If it was too hot, what do you do to cool it? You reach in and pull out some wood. How much do you pull out? So the challenge was maintaining a temperature that was beneficial for actually running a moonshine. So the thought process came and said, this is just too difficult to do. We're having such a hard time. We know scientifically, we know chemically that what we're doing is right and we can do this, but we just can't maintain that temperature. How do we do that? They said, well, why don't we use a separate vessel? What they did was they said, look, it just stands to reason that we'll just heat this puppy up We just got to get it hot within reason. And we're going to use that vapor that comes off because we can control it over here. We'll use the vapor to heat this vessel. And then we'll take those vapors that come off that vessel into our condenser or our coil, and then we'll condense it back down to ethanol. And so in doing this with the and then they said, well, listen to that thing go off. He's a thump, thump, thump. Daggone, it's a thumper. That's where it got its name. And oh, by the way, its purpose was to control heat. They can control it here. They couldn't control it here. Now it has another beneficial purpose. Now that we can control heat here and here, well, it's made itself available for other purposes. Now, and we do know that if you put alcohol in here, that this vapor will also vaporize that alcohol. But remember, once that alcohol is gone, you can't make alcohol in a still. All you can do is separate it if it's available. So then all you're doing is using this alcohol, it's separating. Okay, but what they found was, we said, we can throw fruits in here, we can infuse. So now we've got something different. It's a thumper, but it's an emulsifier too. We can add peaches in there. We can put apples in there. We can put juniper berries in there. It's unlimited what you can do with that. So you can get a lot of different flavors out of using a thumper. And that's what the purpose of a thumper was, and that's what it's grown to now. So I do like the traditional stills. I try to avoid using a thumper if at all possible, unless I'm making something really, really strange and special for myself. And that's because of the closed system versus an open system. That's what I wanted to share with you. And until next time, I hope this helps. Happy to